else to think about when we're choosing colors for small rooms. Hi everyone, it's Carol from Discover Interior Design, and I'm so glad you're here. In this video, we're going to kind of continue our talk about choosing paint colors for small rooms, and we are going to focus in on color saturation and how to use that as a tool to help you create the look and feel that you're going for. So let's get started. So one of the first things that you need to do when you're deciding which colors you want to paint a small room or even a large room is really deciding what is the look and feel that you're going for. And do you want to create a light and airy look, or something a little bit cozier or moodier or deeper colored? And it's really deciding how energetic or how calm you want those rooms to look and feel. And in my previous video where we talked about choosing paint colors for small rooms, we talked about the color concept of color value and using that to help you choose just the right version of a color. And so a quick recap of that, because we want to still take that into account when we're choosing paint colors. And color value just has to do with the lightness and darkness of a color. And the lighter the color is, the more light that color is going to reflect. So in a small room, when you are working with lighter colors on your wall, just because those lighter colors reflect more light, it's going to give the illusion that that room looks and feels a little bit more expansive. And if you want to create that look and feel of something that looks and feels much more light and airy, choosing a lighter color may be the way to go. And the opposite side of that is a darker color. And darker colors reflect less light and in fact can absorb light. And that is great if you want to create a more cozier look to a room. And working with the lightness and darkness of a color is really important to help you reflect the look and feel that you're going for. But we also want to think about saturation. And so how does saturation play a role in choosing just the right version or type of color? So when we're talking about saturation, what we're referring to is how intense a color is, how much color is in a color, how saturated that color is with a color. And a color can be very saturated and very pure, but it can also go all the way to the other end where it's less saturated. We could also refer to it as more grayed out or kind of neutralized. And when we're working with very saturated colors in small rooms, that can make a really bold and dramatic statement. And if that's the look and feel that you're going for, you want something that looks really energetic, maybe kind of modern and contemporary. Using a very saturated color may be a great idea. But if you want a softer look to a room, that's where you'd want to choose a version of a color that is a little bit more grayed down, a little bit softer, less saturated. There's less color in that color so that it gives you just a softer look to a space. So let's think about a couple of examples of where we are thinking about value and saturation. So how about you want to keep your home and your rooms light and airy, and you really just want to use a nice white color to do that. And to create a cohesive look, maybe you use white throughout your home. You use white on all of your walls and on the ceilings. And you're also consistent with what color you use on the trims or on your doors. And so there's a consistent look. If you just use white throughout your home, it's a nice consistent look. And maybe there are kind of two versions that we can think about using white in our home. One would be that you want to create a look and feel that's very vibrant and energetic, kind of modern, contemporary. And so that's where you'd probably want to choose a white that's kind of this neat, crisp white. The other look that you may want in your home is a softer version of white, where you want things to look bright and airy, but you want it to be calmer and softer. That's where you'd want to have your white be a little toned down. We could almost say a little less saturated. And maybe we choose a white that's a little bit creamier. And so it's not this pure crisp white. And then keep in mind that neutral colors like whites and grays and blacks and even earth tones have different levels of saturation. So keep that in mind when you are choosing neutral colors as well. And what happens if you want to use other colors on the walls in your home, whether it's changing out the color in some of the rooms or putting a color on an accent wall or putting different colors within one room? That's where you want to have the saturation level and the lightness and darkness of that color to kind of match what your white is doing. So if you're using a very crisp white, that's where I would recommend using maybe more saturated colors. And that way there's this nice contrast going on, but there's this repetition happening because everything is kind of around that same saturation level, that same lightness and darkness level. And so it creates a nice cohesiveness to your home. And so with the softer version, that's where you would want to use colors that are similar in that saturation level and value level. So using colors that are kind of in that similar range of lightness and darkness, but also maybe a little less saturated. So instead of using a very pure saturated color, as in that previous example, we would use one that's a little bit more toned down and kind of makes sense with that softer white. And there's a lower contrast. It's a softer transition between colors, and it just gives you a softer and calmer look. So keeping the values and the saturation levels kind of consistent and similar throughout your home is one way to create a cohesive look to your home. Even if you use different colors, kind of keeping them in that similar level of saturation or similar level of lightness and darkness will kind of create a cohesive look and feel throughout your home. And then to make sure that your home has some variety happening in it, this is where you can work with value and saturation and the colors themselves to make sure that everything isn't just all the same. So when we're talking about color value, that's where maybe you change up the lightness and darkness of colors every once in a while, or on one wall in a room. Or that's where you would change up the saturation level a little bit. Maybe you use a nice mid-tone color that's not super dark or super light, but just kind of in the middle, and you choose a version that's maybe on the less saturated side. And so maybe that's the main color that you use. But what about using another version of that color in a more saturated level in one of your rooms or on a wall? Just something that will help to kind of mix things up a little bit and add some variety. And so when you're choosing paint colors for smaller rooms, keep in mind that you want to think about what is the look and feel that you're going for, and then use value and saturation to help you achieve your design goals. And keep in mind, smaller rooms are going to look more expansive with lighter and softer colors. but they can also look more energetic and make a bolder statement with more saturated or even more darker and super bright colors. So just kind of keep those things in mind when you're choosing colors. And, do some planning ahead of time. Choose some paint samples that you like, narrow down your choices, and then paint some samples on the walls so you can kind of see how everything is going to look and feel, and if that's achieving your design goals and the look and feel that you want to that space. So I'd love for you to take a moment in your busy day and take notice of the wall paint color in one of your rooms, and just take note of how light or dark it is and how saturated it is. And then I want you to kind of step back a little bit and think about what is the look and feel that that wall color is creating in the room. Is it creating something that's kind of calm and cozy, or something that's a little bit more energetic, or something in between? So share what you find out in the comments, and also share if you have any other suggestions for us about choosing colors for small rooms. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.